Now, speaking of actual weird stories, so RFK Jr., who again, I personally like RFK Jr. I think he's a super nice guy. You know, when we had him on the podcast, I thought he was really interesting. This is a weird story, and there are no two ways about it. It is maybe the weirdest story I've ever heard. And the RFK Jr. campaign is filled with weird stories, as it turns out, from brainworms to this one. According to the New York Times, RFK Jr. confessed on Sunday he had left a dead bear cub in Central Park in Manhattan because he thought it would be amusing. It's a story. It's a story. Here we go.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley. And I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe, really early, like 7. And that woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear. And it was very good condition, and I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear. And so then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We were catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it, so we stayed late. And instead of going back to my home in Westchester, I had to go right to the city because there was a dinner at Peter Luger's Steakhouse. And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car because that would have been bad. So then I thought, at that time, this was the little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lanes, and saw a couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press.
Story right here.
And so I thought, I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking with me who thought this was a good idea. And I said, well, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike.
Makes perfect sense.
Funny for people. So everybody thought that's a great
Even Roseanne Barr
idea.
is like,
So
what
we
is
went and
happening
did that,
here?
And we thought it would be amusing for whoever found it or something. The next day,
That would be amusing
it was
for whoever
like,
found it. I would be amused if I found a dead bear with a bike.
Every television station, it was the front page of every paper, and I turned on the TV, and there was like a mile of yellow tape, and there were 20 cop cars. There were helicopters flying over it. And I was like, oh my God.
Good story.
What did I do?
Good story. I have questions, but I don't really want to ask them. I mean, what? Well, I'm not sure which part of that story is the weirdest part. The part where you see somebody hit a bear and kill it on the road, and you're like, what if I put it in my trunk? That sounds like delicious for dinner. And then you're like, but I have an actual dinner at an actual steakhouse. And so you just drive there with like a bear in the trunk of your car. And they're like, but I do have a flight. But, I'm not going to have time to bring this bear back and like put it in the fridge or anything. So what I do have time for, though, is to go home and grab an old secondhand bike and then take the bear and put it on a bike path in Central Park. Still better than Kamala? You need balance of nature. So here's the thing. I exercise. I try to get enough sleep. I try to eat well. Balance of nature fits directly into my day-to-day. Imagine trying to eat 31 different fruits and veggies every time. It sounds miserable and time-consuming. With balance of nature fruits and veggies, there's never been a more convenient dietary supplement to ensure you get a wide variety of fruits and veggies daily. Balance of nature takes fruits and veggies, they freeze-dry them, they turn them into a powder, and then they put them into a capsule. You take your fruit and veggie capsules every day, and then your body knows exactly what to do with them. And it's kosher, which means I can put that in the protein smoothie in the morning. Go to balanceofnature.com, use promo code Shapiro for 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. Plus, get a free bottle of fiber and spice. When you're on the road, it is very difficult to get the nutritional intake you need. I mean, especially for me, I keep kosher, which means that I'm going in the middle of nowhere half the time. They don't got a lot of kosher food over there, but I can use that balance of nature to keep myself in tip top condition, which is what you need because you need me giving you updates, but you need it for your own life as well. Go to balanceofnature.com, promo code Shapiro. Again, that's balanceofnature.com, promo code Shapiro for 35% off your first order as a preferred customer, plus that free bottle of fiber and spice. Well, meanwhile, the Democrats continue to try to paint J.D. Vance as weird. Their latest example of J.D. Vance supposedly being weird is J.D. Vance on the Full Send podcast, and he was talking about receiving the vice presidential phone call from President Trump. And he told a story that is familiar to literally every parent ever. And the media called him weird. How dare he say this? How dare he say this about his own child? Listen to this story, and you'll tell the difference between people who don't have kids and people who do.
So I call Trump, and I'm like, hey, sir, what's going on? He's like, JD, you missed a very important phone call, and now I'm going to have to pick somebody else. And I like tense up and almost have a heart attack. And the crazy thing about it is my son, who's 7, is in the hotel room with me. And he's really into Pokemon cards right now. He's going through a Pokemon phase. Are you guys into Pokemon?
I am. Back in the day.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's a big phase right now, I think, in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's really into it. So he's trying to talk to me about Pikachu. And I'm on the phone with Donald Trump. And I'm like, son, shut the hell up for 30 seconds about Pikachu. This is the most important phone call of my life. Please just let me take this phone call.
Okay, people are very angry that he told his son to shut up. Now, in reality, J.D. Vance is exaggerating. He probably didn't tell his son to shut the hell up. But I said, can you be quiet? I've got the president on the line. Okay, but everybody went nuts on this. How could he talk to his child like this? Okay, I got 4 of them. Okay, this happens all the time, literally all the time. It's like the story of my life. I'm taking a call from, like the Speaker of the House or the Senate Minority Leader or somebody in the Trump campaign or somebody, just very high level, some big business person. I have a phone call for this, and my kids will be in the background, and my 10-year-old will start piping up and talking to the person with whom I'm on the call in the car. All of my producers know this is true because they've actually heard my 10-year-old daughter trying to have a conversation with them in the middle of the conversation. Like, this is just what it's like to be a parent, but that's weird, guys. That's really weird and bad. See, what's not weird and bad is being like Doug Emhoff and nailing the nanny and knocking her up and then having her get an abortion. That's normal. It's real weird to tell your kid to pipe down because you're on an important phone call. That's something that has never happened. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.